Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. Just thought I'd return to you for this Tuesday album review. I'm so sorry for delaying it for so long. I've just been very busy with trying to earn some money, so it's been very difficult for the start of this week, but we're pulling through. So I wanted to return to you for this Lifehouse self-titled album for the 2005 album I listened to. So I'm going to discuss what I listened to for the 15 tracks on this release overall and let you know my thoughts on this album in its entirety. So let's dive into this album review. Now it starts with Come Back Down, which honestly is a pretty solid track. I think it's pretty good in its own way. Jason Wade's singing is pretty solid for the most part, so I really dig that about the track, and it's a 4.75 out of 5. I mean, not one of my favorite songs, but it is 4.5 minutes, and it did fairly well for the execution. The drumming in this is pretty solid, so I do dig it. Then comes You and Me, one of the singles for the record, and is a pretty strong track. It's very beautifully written from Jason Wade, and the acoustic guitar work in this is pretty strong for the most part. So I do dig this track. It's a 5 out of 5. The music video is pretty captivating and interesting to watch through. So yeah, Blind is the next track. I think this is a very strong track. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it at first, but when the pre-chorus came in, and mostly when the chorus came in and the bridge part of the song, is when I started really feeling for the track, because that's when it started sounding good. But other than that, the track did very well in its own way, so it's a 5 out of 5. All in all, I meant to say, is another solid track. I'd give it a 4.75 out of 5 for this one. I think with how Jason Wade is singing this track, I think it did very well, and for a very short runtime, it wasn't one of my favorite songs, I can tell you that, but it was pretty solid for the most part, so 4.75 out of 5. So overall, I think Jason Wade's singing was solid, but the melody and how it sounded structurally did alright. Better Luck Next Time is a pretty good track. I really enjoyed this one, so it's a 5 out of 5. For the runtime it went for, it did very well for the execution, so really digging this. I like the drumming, guitar work, and Jason Wade's singing is very strong in this. So I'm really feeling for this track, 5 out of 5. Days Go By is another strong track that I enjoyed. I was really impressed with how Jason Wade was singing this, and overall how the execution of the track flowed. Sorry, my dog was just laying down right here. Did very well for the execution, so I'm really feeling for this track. It starts off mellow, but it starts picking up as you keep going, and it does sound pretty strong in its own way. 5 out of 5. Into the Sun was a very lengthy song. It was like 5 minutes and 20 seconds, but it does work for the execution. So I was really feeling for this track overall, and yeah, it's a 5 out of 5. It did very well for the runtime it was going for, and the guitar work and drum work was pretty good in it, and so was Jason Wade's singing for the most part. It was very mellow of a track, but it does work. Undone is a very good track in its own way. I really do dig this one. It's a 5 out of 5 for sure. I really like how Jason Wade's singing this track, and overall with the execution, it did very well. So 5 out of 5. They are melodic tracks, most of these tracks are, when they go to their later discography, but they do sound good for how it is. We'll Never Know is a pretty good track. I really enjoyed this one for how it sounded. The verses are pretty simple, the chorus is very strong, but overall with the execution and the melody and the structure of the track did very well, so 5 out of 5. Walking Away is another one I do dig. It is melodic at times, but it does sound pretty good in its own way, so it's a 5 out of 5 for this one. I do dig it for how it sounds. Then we get to the next track, chapter 1, which is the second to last track on the regular edition, which did very well for its how it sounded. So I'm do I'm really digging it for how it is and how the melody sounds. The chorus is pretty strong, the verses are pretty simple, and yeah, this track did well with Jason Wade singing in it. So 5 out of 5. The End Has Only Begun is a solid track. I'd give it a 4.75 out of 5. This one wasn't one of my favorites, but it was pretty solid to close out the record. A pretty good song in its own way. So yeah, it's a 4.75 out of 5. It is the closing track for the regular edition of this record, but I'm going to be talking about the 3 extra tracks on the record that I found to be on the record when I looked into Wikipedia through the bonus tracks section of this record. So yeah, 4.75 out of 5 for The End Has Only Begun. Today is a pretty strong track. I do dig this one for how it sounds. The drumming in this is pretty good, and the execution of it overall did very well. So it's a 5 out of 5. Then we get to Along the Way. This one was a good song, but it wasn't one of my favorite ones. It's probably the least favorite in the discography, so it's a 4.5 out of 5 for me for this one. I don't know, it's just the melody wasn't really syncing with me with this track, and it overall did alright. Through These Times is the closing track to the official album, of course, for the deluxe edition. The bonus track version is the last bonus track song on the bonus track edition of the self-titled album, and it overall is a very good track. I really enjoyed Jason Wade singing. I enjoyed the melody, how it structurally sounds, and it's a very nice song for sure. So it's a 5 out of 5. Overall, production, mixing, and execution wise, I think for this Tuesday album review for season 7, episode 16 for Lifehouse's 2005 self-titled album is a pretty good record. Pretty simple. Nothing amazing or anything, but it did pretty well for how it sounded. So I think Jason Wade's singing through most of this was pretty nice, and there were some tracks that had a few execution flaws where I think it was stood out a little bit from how the record was sounding fluctually, but everything else was sounding all right and pretty strong. So if I were to give Lifehouse's self-titled 2005 album a score, I'm feeling at 8.5 out of 10. Pretty good record. Definitely recommend you guys check this release out if you have not listened to it. It is worth a listen, and it is definitely something I was really impressed with. So can't wait to listen to Who We Are, the next record, which will be on the next season of Tuesday album reviews. So don't worry about that. I'll make sure that it's on there, and it's the following album after that. And so, but other than that, 8.5 out of 10 for Lifehouse self-titled album, their 2005 album. I hope you enjoyed this album review for the Tuesday album review season 7, episode 16, and thank you guys for watching.